No, it's good. If you know, you know. An umpire and a vampire square off week after week, reviewing movies outside their own strike zone. This week's movies, the 1948 Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, and the 1945 Abbott and Costello Here Come the Co-Eds, starring Bud Abbott, Louis Costello, Bela Lugosi, Lon Chaney Jr., Jane Randolph, Peggy Ryan, and Martha O'Driscoll. Now two guys who realize that predictions are really hard to make, especially about the future. Tim Crutchman and Jeff Miller.
Really? Okay. Hey, everybody.
Buenos dias.
Welcome to Dead on the Bases. This is the show where the sports fan gets a horror movie assigned to him, and the horror fan has to watch a sports movie against his will and filled with anger and hate.
Why do you always preface it like, you know you love the movies I set you up with?
Hey, everybody. That's Jeff. He's my friend.
That's the only reason I'm here. Otherwise, he'd be like, get out.
Sometimes when he's in the ocean, I just call him Chum. Oh. Anyway.
Oh, my God. Gonna need a bigger boat.
Write that one down. Okay. Anyway, we have a good show tonight. We're going to be talking about Bud and Lou. And you...
Blue.
Okay.
Blue.
In the opening, you said Louis Costello. Where were you grabbing that from? Was that on IMDb that way?
Oh,
or?
It comes out of me.
Okay, because I had never heard him called Louis, I should say.
It's quite common that he was called Louis, but when you heard stuff on, like in the movies and that, they always said Lou. It's, Tim, you gotta really dig deep for these things.
Yeah. Okay.
You'll find that out in trivia.
And we also have Abbott and Costello in Here Comes the Co-Eds. I'm going to admit to you, I never knew about this particular film before seeing it, and I thought it was a football movie based entirely on a few stills that I had, and these hats that they're wearing kind of look like the old-fashioned football helmets.
Sure.
The old leather hats,
yeah.
And there's no football in this film.
There's other sports stuff.
In case people don't.
Okay,
barely. We'll get into it.
We'll get into it.
Do we ever not get into it?
There's as much sports in this as there is as horror in mine.
I do have another announcement.
Oh, what?
Okay. I redid our Pauly Shore connection. So it's going to be a little different look and feel. I don't want to surprise you too much because you get scared. But I think you're going to like it.
I think this is going to be fun because I'm thinking you're going to have to dig this time, but we'll see.
I'm going to have to dig.
Well, these guys are really old, and he was never even born.
Well, they were young when they made them, though.
Okay, are we ready? Now, okay, here's the thing. So, I've been getting some emails.
You did?
Yeah, and as much fun as the previous shows have been, there were some requests for me to be a little bit more prepared. So, today...
Oh, look at that.
I am prepared.
Actual sheets of paper. And it's single-spaced, everybody.
Yeah.
So we're going to start things off with Jazzy Jeff, and he's going to be talking about Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Okay,
He's got his IMDb open. Oh, how many minutes is it? I'm kidding.
I know. So this movie is called Abbott and Costello because it's Bud Abbott and it's...
Yes.
Yeah, Bud Abbott and Louis Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Lou Costello.
It's Louis.
Never been Louis.
I will show you. It's Louis.
I'll be interested where it is.
Even on his star on the Walk of Fame, it's
really?
Louis Costello. All right. It's
That's
1948.
Okay.
And it was approved. What does that mean? And then it's an hour and 23 minutes long.
Do you know what approved means on IMDb?
I don't.
That's an older film. That means it passed the code at the time.
Oh, Parents Guide.
Well, back at that time, we didn't have GPGR and all that.
Okay.
It either passed or it did not pass for American audiences. And if it didn't, they would have to go back and recut it. Like, there were rules like bad guys could not win. That was...
Are you serious?
That was a rule. Until we started getting a rating system. you had to follow all the things it said in standards and practices or whatever they called it at the time.
Did you ever take a pass-fail class in college?
I did not.
I did. It's called individualized movement. I got an art credit for it. It was either pass or fail. I passed. All right.
Good for you.
All right. So anyway,
we're all happy to hear that, Jeff.
good. All right. So
all right.
This movie, the story that follows Bud Abbott and Louis Costello. Okay, it's not Louis.
Okay.
I don't know.
Like, where the hell is this coming
All right.
from?
Bud and Lou, Abbott and Costello, as they unwittingly become entangled in the world of monsters. What was that?
I don't know.
Okay. So, see, as much as I'm
Somebody
prepared,
honked a
I
horn.
like just talking about this stuff myself. I don't need notes. All right, so what it is Bud and Lou, what they are is they're delivery guys, right? And what happens is
They're not delivery guys.
they're
They're
UPS,
baggage handlers.
Yeah, they're UPS guys of the past. So
No, they were baggage handlers, and what had
Wait a
happened is
second.
they had to deliver those particular things that
But
were
why-
sent by the train.
what does UPS do?
Deliver things.
Okay, they were pre-UPS.
Okay.
But Tim, think about it. The guy comes in there and he's got these boxes. He's like, I have to have these delivered. They were in a delivery area. This is what I got from it. That
Okay,
they worked
that's
there
fine.
and they had to deliver it.
That's fine. Go on.
Does it make sense though?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
But it doesn't, but it does. So they have to go and deliver these 2 boxes to this wax museum, which it's a wax museum of horror, okay? So there's a bunch of horror things in there. But when they have it there, right, they open up the crates, and now this is when things are going to start getting crazy, because what happened...
I'm waiting to hear how this got crazy.
I'm going to go to my notes, because I sound like an idiot.
No, you don't.
Okay, so
what got crazy?
This film, all right. What sets this film apart is a perfect balance between laughs and scares. Abbott and Costello's comedic timing is impeccable, providing plenty of slapstick humor and witty banter throughout the movie. What are you doing? Something seems... Oh yeah, there they are. At the same time, the classic moments are portrayed with the respect of their iconic status, maintaining genuine sense of suspense and spookiness. Okay. So what happens in this here is one of the film's strengths is its clever use of comedy to offset the horror elements. Now, the horror elements in this are Dracula, the Wolfman, and Frankenstein. But you have all this stuff going on. Now, I can tell you right now something that I don't like notes. I don't.
I've noticed.
If I had notes, I'd rather have like cards here and just like a word or two on them. So anyways,
Okay.
So let's get back to this. So I can remember watching this movie, I think as a younger person, like on
yeah.
a Saturday or Sunday afternoon,
Yes.
on a rainy day, I had this on because I was watching this and parts of it were coming back to me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I've seen this before.
Yep.
What it is.
This used to be on television so
Right.
much. It was crazy how often it was on
Was there a
television.
lot of Abbott and Costello ones or just this one a lot?
This one a lot.
That's what I thought. Okay.
This one a lot. There are about 5 or 6 of Abbott and Costello Meet the Monsters. It was like Invisible Man, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. No, I just
But
don't want to.
there was a bunch of them that they had done.
So what happens here is they deliver these crates, and I don't want to give away too much, but I think this is a really good movie. So all of a sudden, Dracula's coffin starts to open like this. And of course, Lou Costello is the one who notices this happening.
Sometimes known as Lewis.
And Clark. There you go. What if...
Okay.
Do you think he was named...
Don't get off
Do you
the
think he was
subject.
named after Lewis and Clark? Lewis? No. Anyways.
No.
So anyway, so So the classic Lou Costello and Bud Abbott thing is
Okay.
Lou is obviously the funny guy, Bud's a straight guy, so everything that happens to Lou, he's got to try to explain it to Buddy. Oh, it opened, it shut. It opened, it shut. And it just seems to be like when he turns his back, it's shut back down.
Right.
And it's just like there's always just a second of miss. It's miscued somehow.
Right.
And you kind of feel for Costello because he's like, hey, this is going on. And Bud,
He's being gaslit by Dracula.
Abbott, I'll be honest with you, he's kind of a jerk. He's kind of a jerk to him. He doesn't listen to him or anything like that. He's kind of a jerk. And you know why he's such a jerk in this one?
He's a gigantic jerk.
Because Costello's got the 2 chicks.
Yes.
He's got the 2 chicks. But that was amazing because his first chick, okay, I didn't realize she was working with Dracula.
Right.
And she wanted his brain.
Wait, where's my spoiler alert?
No, it's not a spoiler.
That's a spoiler.
No, because you find out.
I'll find it.
No, because you find out in the movie that she wanted his brain, but you don't know it until it happens. But anyways.
Spoiler alert.
But anyways.
Now it won't stop.
Because it's probably really upset with me. It's like the Bud Abbott of this show. It's upset. Okay, but anyways, so she's hitting on him, and you're like wondering why, but then you figure out why. But then this other woman really likes him, and Abbott's pissed about this. He doesn't like the fact that this is going on. But anyways, back to the movie. It's an hour and 28 minutes long.
So is this review.
But everything seems to be happening. Same thing with Frankenstein. Frankenstein kind of comes alive. He's whipping around. He's coming after him. Dracula is coming after him. And the thing of it is that Lon Chaney Jr., who plays the werewolf, that's not giving anything away.
For once.
It's weird because he starts out in London and he's like, hey, I need those crates over here. Now, we're going to have some questions and answers that you're going to help me out with.
Okay.
Do werewolves and vampires not get along?
You know, that's an interesting question.
Thank you.
Pretty well in Universal films, they don't. And later on in the Underworld films, they don't.
Twilight, they don't either.
They seem to always be rivals.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay. So anyways, Lon Chaney Jr., who plays werewolf, and I think his dad was the original werewolf, right? Lon Chaney?
No. Lon Chaney Jr. is the guy that played the Wolfman pretty much throughout the Universal run. Lon Chaney Sr., his father, did silent films.
Was he a werewolf in those?
He never played a werewolf, but he was the Phantom of the Opera. He was the Hunchback in Notre Dame. He did play a pretty freaky-looking vampire. He was known for his makeup effects. Lon Chaney Jr., I think he did some makeup effects, but for the most part, Jack Pierce is the gentleman that did the makeup for most of the Universal films. This movie was very late in the Universal film period, and this was done by, I believe it was Michael Westmore did the makeup for this. They had just been bought out. If you remember at the beginning of the movie, it said Universal International.
Yep.
Okay. That was a different logo. Universal International, they had just, I thought they brought on some partners or something, but there was a shakeup at the studio, and Carl Lamille was no longer in charge. Okay. Back when Carl was involved, I'm getting into the weeds, but that was when Jack Pierce was in charge. Michael Westmore took over after that, and he was the guy that hired the person that did the makeup at Universal after that, including Creature of the Black Lagoon. And he often tries to take credit for that film, and he just hired the person that did it. So that was a long-winded answer.
That's okay, though, but I don't know where it started.
Lon Chaney Jr. actually, Lon Chaney Sr. was considered a master actor. I shouldn't put it that way. But Lon Chaney Jr. went on, and I think he even got some Oscar nominations for Of Mice and Men. If Lon Chaney Jr. could have kept himself away from the whiskey, I think he would have become one of the greatest actors in early film. Yeah, he's that good. If you watch it, I mean, there is nothing wrong with Lon Chaney's acting.
No, he's very good in this.
In fact, all the guys playing monsters, they play it entirely straight. They could very easily have looked at the camera and went, or done something dumb there. They played it like they're in a horror movie. They're in a horror movie, and these two knuckleheads from a comedy came walking into their movie.
So I think Lon Chaney did an awesome job in this. And they say that the effects are rudimental, or they're not of what they are today.
Well,
but I don't think I would wanted them to be. I think
Right.
his makeup was good. I think
makeup wise, they're as good as today.
Oh,
makeup wise, I think they're as good as today. When they do the transformation to the bat, I mean,
that was cartoonish, but
I think it's good.
It was good
for that time. They were amazing.
Why does the vampire do this? Why is he always covering so you just see his eyes? What is the purpose of that?
Bela Lugosi as an actor liked to do that.
Did he always do that? I mean, because he was a young vampire
when that
one
started. Time, right? I'll throw that to the chat room if anybody knows.
Hide his fangs. Just keep his mouth shut.
Hide his fangs.
It could be.
I think, in moviedom, I think the reasoning for it is to keep it mysterious. Who is it?
Okay.
The other thing is his power comes from his eyes.
Yeah, what is that all about, too?
Vampires can hypnotize and take over other people, and they say, yes, master. And as you could tell in this movie, he had Frankenstein under his spell pretty well throughout
What
the
I would
film.
like to have seen in that situation is I would like to have seen the eyes like spinning so that you know that they're getting hypnotized.
Well, what they do is that they put key lights on just the eyes to emphasize the eyes.
I think when I was watching this, and I don't even know why it happened, but when he did that...
Did you get hypnotized?
I don't know.
Did you say yes, master?
No, but I thought his eyes turned red once.
No,
But it could because black and white. But I think in my head, I thought that.
I think Bela Lugosi is a very intense actor.
He was. He is very
I think he's very intense.
I have to say that for this being a horror movie, which it really kind of wasn't. It was right down the middle.
It's
horror
a mix.
Comedy.
It's a mix.
It's a mix. But it was done really well because, like you said, the horror guys were doing their horror thing.
Yep.
And usually in a horror movie, you don't have two guys yucking it up.
Right.
So they played that to the T.
Yep.
The two guys in the comedy area, well, actually just Costello, was very good in what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And then the women that were in this, I'm going to click over people. Lenore Albert,
and Jane Randolph.
Right. They were good too.
They were. They were good at what their roles required of them.
Exactly.
Women's roles were not real fantastic
No.
in what was this? 1950 what?
No, 48.
Was it 48?
48 or 45.
Okay.
No, we're going to find out for sure. 48.
48. Okay. For some reason, I think the other monster movies with Abbott and Costello were the 50s. Now, this movie was an A picture. Have I ever done that on this show? Talk about A versus B pictures?
Is it like the same thing like a record?
No.
A-side, B-side?
Actually it kind of is. Because back in the day, back in the 40s, they used to do a lot of double features. Okay? Because people wanted to get their money's worth. Right?
Yep.
So they would show an A feature, which this was the big money movie. It was usually an epic or something like that. Lots of action, big stars. Then there was a B movie, and then there were movie reels and cartoons and they would just keep playing this on a loop all afternoon, and you would come in whenever. Usually the A movies were about an hour 45 minutes long, about that long. The B pictures were usually about just over an hour because they wanted to keep things going, and people really weren't as interested in the B movie. They just wanted to feel like they got their money's worth.
So this was an A movie.
This was an A movie, which the last A movies in the Universal cycle were the first ones, like Frankenstein, Dracula, not Bride of Frankenstein. Well, Bride might have been an A picture yet. But later on, when you started doing the Ghost of Frankenstein and some of those definitely turned into Bs. This was an A picture, which was unusual for Universal Monsters at that point, because we were pretty late in the cycle. But also, Abbott and Costello were kind of losing steam as a comedy team. In fact, it wasn't long after this that they started doing their television show. And that's when they were doing just these monster mix-ups and then doing the TV show.
So if they did an A and B movie, would they have the same, would they couple it with another Abbott and Costello one, or would they try to keep the same actors and actresses in A and B?
No.
Really?
They typically, it would be something very different.
Okay.
So if this movie could have played with a Western or, a war picture or something like that. So Universal really made a lot of money with the Universal Monsters, because when television started to become big, that's when they sold Shock Theater to local stations. And what they did is they had about 30 of these movies. Mm-hmm. They sold it as a package to TV stations, and they would be able to show these, but because they're shorter films, particularly some of those B pictures, all the local stations would hire a horror host. So locally we had Toulouse Snowneck. Sven Gulli is still on the air down in Chicago. Out in Pittsburgh, they had Chili Billy. These guys would do intros and outros and some fun stuff just to keep the mood light. Here's
the thing. I'm going to just a little side note here. I will not beat Tim in trivia this week. There's no way at all. Anyways, so what it is, it's basically Abbott and Costello play their characters to a T. Abbott and Costello's the funny guy. Abbott's the straight guy.
Hold on. We just got an answer to your question about the cape.
Oh, sure.
Bearded Beauty. In 1948, they knew there would be a review of this movie in 2024, and they wanted to confuse Jeff Miller, so he covered his face except for his eyes.
There you go.
Now you got the definitive answer.
Now you know.
Another one of your fans, Jeff.
Absolutely. So anyway, they go through this. They gotta avoid the monsters. The monsters are trying to get him. Actually, they're trying to get Costello's brain to go into Frankenstein, but
which seems like a waste of time.
It is. But they want that like mush brain, so they want
They wanted somebody easy to dominate.
Exactly. It's put together very well for being what it is. Monsters that are monsters, and then these two guys. I think it was put together very well. I enjoyed it. I had something else to say about this. Hold on. I have notes.
Do you want to do Pauly Shore?
Just wait.
Okay.
Overall, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein is a timeless classic that successfully merges comedy and horror. It's a must-see for fans of both genres and a testament to the enduring appeal of Universal Monster franchise.
You spent a lot of time on
that. I did, and you know what? I did, and I apologize for this review. This review stunk, but it was
fine. It was fine.
This is a good movie. But I do want to say this, that as much as it's a horror, it's a comedy. But there are some scenes towards the end that are a little harrowing that I actually got a little nervous for. I mean, as nervous as you can, not like I did with The Conjuring. I hear. But
there's actually a lot of action in the last 30 minutes of this movie.
It actually ramps you up.
It just goes.
And I want to say this too, and I'm not going to spoil this, but the best part for me...
I'm going to allow you to spoil this movie. It's 80 years old.
No, I can't, because the ending, if you've never seen this movie before, the very ending is super cool. The very, very ending is super cool. I think something else is going to happen, but something else happens, and you're like, they got me.
Okay. Do you want to know how I connected this to Pauly Shore?
You don't care. Sure, go ahead.
Well, you made it so cryptic. You didn't want to tell anybody that Vincent Price did the voice of the Invisible Man.
No, don't do it.
I spoiled one.
Tim.
Woohoo!
Because they're in the boat, and they're like looking around. I'm like, Tim told me this is Universal Monsters, so I'm like, the Black Lagoon guy is coming up. I'm like, the creature in Black Lagoon is going to come out.
This was prior to Black Lagoon.
But I know that. Why, yeah. But I thought it was coming out. And all of a sudden, The Invisible Man. I'm like, you guys got me, and it was pretty cool. All right, so there you go.
All right, so
that review sucked.
It was fine. All right, are you ready?
No more notes.
Pauly Shore?
Yes.
Dude, need fundage, bro.
Where is it? Why is it not showing up?
Maybe it's invisible.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an Invisible Man.
Where's my Pauly Shore? I worked on this thing for so long, it better be here.
See, that's what happens when you try to do something like I did. From now on, folks, I'm just going to go back the way I was. It's just...
You know what? I think my system's a little bit... Something's going on. Is everybody seeing the show?
If not, we can start over.
No.
I thought
I'm
it was
a little concerned.
It was also kind of funny when the Wolfman would go after...
Okay, we've got a show going. All right.
When the Wolfman would go after Costello, and he would just barely miss him. And
he does it over and over.
I know. It's pretty funny.
It's like the entire movie.
And he would wait. And I'm like, just go after him. Why wait till he moves? Just go get him. You're supposed to be fast. You're a dog. Or a wolf, whatever. Where's Pauly Shore?
This is kind of ticking me off a great deal right now.
Let me know when you want me to give the rating.
We might as well go to that. Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, I was torn on this, and the reason why is because similar to a lot of the movies last year, it wasn't really horror as it scared me. It's just something that I would have watched as a kid. But I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was put together well, and I recommend anybody else to watch it for any other respect. I'm giving it a 9.
A 9?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm going to give it a 9. It didn't scare me, but it was a good movie. I have the ability to rate something even though it's not what I want it to be.
Right.
You're just right.
Well,
right.
I pressed the button for the number, and it didn't show up.
It's Wait. How do I get my hands over there?
There.
Wait.
Move them up a little bit. Okay.
9.
I think you got it.
Because I was looking at this one, and I'm like, where's my thumb? Because I can't see it, and I'm like,
well, your thumb's.
I know,
it's right here.
but I was mistaken with my hands.
Can you feel
because
it?
it's backward. It's backward to me.
It's backward.
Anyways, just go.
This was
a train wreck for me.
It's not a train wreck. Why do you do this?
You know that meme where the dog and you have the fire on all around it? Nothing to see here. That's what happened tonight.
Okay, let me see if I can get... Yeah.
Dude, need fundage, bro.
Well, we're going to show you up on the screen because I worked too damn long on this. Okay. Oops, wrong one.
Oh, I like this. I like the new version. I like this.
Yeah, Pauly Shore, Lon Chaney connects to a movie called Behave Yourself to Shelley Winters, ladies and gentlemen. Shelley Winters is in jury duty, and that brings us to
That's fantastic. I like the new setup. I do.
Yeah, it would be nice if it worked.
It's still good job,
cool.
Tim.
Yeah, well, we got one more shot at this later on in tonight's show. So we'll see how that goes. Right now, we're going to try going to the break. Let's see what happens with this button. Okay, it's kind of running, but it's not turning on. You know what?
There we go. Hey.
We're back. Go ahead.
I'm Jeff Miller, and this is the sports that I know. What I know is that the Brewers are crushing it right now. They are 11-6 and on top of the National League Central, followed by the Cubs, the Pirates, the Reds, and the Cardinals. The Brewers will open up a 3-game set against the Cardinals in St. Louis this weekend, starting tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Mark your calendars. The Milwaukee Bucks, the 3 seed in the National Basketball League, the 3 seed in the East, will host the number 6 seed Pacers in the first round of the NBA playoffs. The Pacers took 4 of 5 this season against the Bucks, and the Bucks have got a hurting unit going on. Giannis is out and Dame is hurting, so it's going to be interesting. Hopefully the Bucks get out of the first round. The Admirals down the Moose last night. The Manitoba Moose 6-4. They will host games 3, 4, and 5 of the first round of the Calder Cup coming up in 2 weeks. They will play the winner of the Texas Stars and the Manitoba Moose. One other thing. Chucky Hepburn, if you are a fan of his with the Wisconsin Badgers, he entered the portal today. He will no longer be a Badger. And the NFL draft is next week. What? Yeah.
What is entering the portal?
So what these college players can do is they can enter this portal, which all the other colleges can look in there and say, oh, this person's here, this person's here. Let's offer them a scholarship to play for us. So they're jumping in. It's kind of like Doom. They're jumping into this portal. And there you go.
Wow.
And a team like, real quick, this portal thing is crazy for college. The Arkansas Razorbacks, they have one guy left on their team. The rest of them, all are in the portal.
Wow.
So there you go.
Yikes.
I'm Jeff Miller, and that's the sports that I know.
That is. And now it's time
For a good review.
for, we hope, Merch Madness. Let's see what comes up.
Maybe it's... we have...
What is with this?
There we go.
Yeah.
I love March Madness. Yay!
All the automation is gone today. All right, let's see if this works.
We will return you to the regularly scheduled program in just a moment.
Let's make some merch money.
Dead on the Bases has Get this high-quality, durable garment at our store or a fine partner location. Get our classic and classy tees. They really shine, worn out on their own. And what else do we have coming in the line?
I'm thinking about getting coasters, and I'm thinking about getting tumblers, like Yetis. I don't know, man. I think we got a market going. I don't know.
As always, Jeff, you are so right. Get this fabulous product now at a location near you. Dead on the Bases, when you care, and when you are...
Open it up Muskego style!
Remember Galaxy Games?
I would get quarters for my report card.
Oh, yeah?
Remember do you remember doing that or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, they painted them red.
They had them everywhere. That you could go there, and then you could go to Chuck E. Cheese with Debbie quarters.
But Galaxy Games, that's kind of cool. I mean, Parkland Mall was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was tiny, but it was what it was.
That's what she said.
Hey,
I
Horror
redeemed
Realm, only
myself.
322 more days.
Can't wait.
322.
Mentally, I'm there.
Me too, brother. Me too.
Yeah, tonight.
All right. Well, here comes the next train wreck that's coming is my review of Here Come the Co-Eds. So, now that's as musical as I'm going to get. Yeah, we'll see if this is going to start itself up. There it goes.
Oh, there we
Hey,
go.
it's doing something.
TKHF. Tim Kretschmann,
horror fan. Right. So here comes the Co-Eds. Bud and Lou get in trouble with the police over stealing a cop car in the opening minutes. So they're doing a little of the Grand Theft Auto right at the beginning of the program. To escape, now listen to this convoluted nonsense. To escape the authorities in the city, Bud's sister, in the movie, the character, gets a scholarship for reasons we can't understand other than Bud Abbott, his best friend, or no, it's not Bud's sister, it's Lou's sister. Right?
Yeah,
Lou's sister. Lou's sister gets a scholarship because his best friend Bud is publicizing her. And she's cute. Okay? And by the way, to go to a school that is an all-girl school, which brings you to question why the name of the movie is Here Comes the Co-Eds. Co-Eds means that you're at a school that has men and women. They're not co-eds. They are at a women's school. So the actual title of the movie makes no sense.
Do you think it's because Bud and Lou are guys, so here they come, they're coming to that college? I'm just saying,
Maybe, I think it's because generally the term co-eds at the time meant young college-aged women.
Okay.
People usually would say a co-ed about a woman. I don't think they said it about men a lot. And it's like, well, they're also co-ed, but whatever. It makes no sense why she gets a scholarship. It just makes no sense. Not that anything needs to make sense. It's an Abbott and Costello film. So they kind of hitch their ride to her, and they become caretakers. And the head, like the caretaker's assistant, and the caretaker is played by Lon Chaney Jr.
Yep.
He's in both films.
I saw that, and I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
So, yeah. Now, here's an interesting thing. My brother has a big problem with this, so I have to bring it up. It's these movies, why don't they just name the characters Bud and Lou? Because everybody wants to hear Lou Costello say, "Hey, Abbott!"
Yep.
And that,
that's pretty good.
It's in the radio show and in the TV show. But in the first movie, do you remember what Bud's name was?
Bud, no.
Chick.
Yep.
Chick, come here, Chick.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In this one, they came up with an even more ridiculous name, Slats. His name is Slats in this film. Chick, I've heard some people, or nickname that, like maybe they're a Charles and you call him Chick or something like that. Slats? What is it short for?
I've never heard of it.
Slytherin? I don't know what it is.
Slutkowski?
It makes no sense. So, anyway, they become the lackeys of Lon Chaney Jr. There are some classic bits in here. There's a bit where there's an oyster that fights back in an oyster stew. Yes.
Can I say something about that, please?
Go ahead.
I saw that, because I've never seen this movie before either. So I'm watching this, and I saw it, and I'm like, what does that remind me of? That reminds me of the Three Stooges. That's out of the 1941 short, Dutifully But Dumb.
Yeah.
With Curly.
I
just won the show. I won the show.
Good job. It was also in one of their other films that Abbott and Costello.
This was 1941, so do you think they ripped it off from the Stooges?
I'm going to tell you right now. The Stooges and Abbott and Costello both came from vaudeville, which was a traditional type of theater in the United States. A lot of those vaudeville theaters became movie theaters later on. There was a type of comedy that was done then. Probably every vaudevillian comedian had their own version of that.
They maybe saw it from another one, or no?
I don't know who started.
Okay.
Like, Who's On First? That's a classic thing. Who's On First? Nobody knows if Bud and Lou took that from somebody else or they just perfected it. But they became famous for doing it.
Yeah.
Because they could really do the patter. Anyway, you have that scene. You have... There's supposedly one of these classic bits is later on they tell a story about Jonah and the whale. And basically Bud Abbott tells Costello, don't tell this old joke now, tell us a new joke. And Bud knows the punchline to it. This is supposed to be wildly funny. I'm sitting there and I'm like, that might have been funny once upon a time. It did not age well. Now, what did age fairly decent was the cleaning up of the caretaker's college. That cottage, I should say. That was pretty funny, and it was one of these classic glue sticking stuff together type scenes. That was pretty good. Now, the standouts are near the end of the movie, and that's the basketball game, and there's a wrestling match in here. But I checked because I was like, when does the sports come into the sports movie? We're a full hour in, Jeff. We were a full hour in before the wrestling match. And by the way, the wrestling match, this is that classic trope that we see in a lot of comedies about sports, it's the guy that has no business being in the ring.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, how many of these sports comedies have we watched where it's like, this guy has no business being a sports fan. In fact, all of the guys smoking just before getting onto the field, it's like they have no business. And, it is fun to watch Lou Costello just get his chops beat for that long. The basketball game, apparently they didn't use too many special effects. Lou Costello is a hell of a free throw thrower. He was some sort of like he was like a trick shot guy, and he was sinking them pretty good from far away. So good on him. But calling this a sports movie is kind of like calling The Absent-Minded Professor or Teen Wolf a sports movie. It has a little sports sequence at the end. I'm not saying it discounts it as a sports movie. It's fine. But I was like, wow, this movie really kind of like threw that in. It felt to me like they had all these bits written down, and they're like, how are we going to write a script to connect all these bits?
Is it similar, though, to Duck Soup? Where that just has a little bit of football in it.
Well, that was Horse Feathers.
That's
you're
what
talking
I meant.
about,
That's
not
what I
Duck
meant.
Soup. I was sitting here and I'm going, Duck Soup, is there a...
No, I meant Horse Feathers.
Horse Feathers.
So it's similar to that.
Yes.
Okay.
And you want to get down to it, Caddyshack, there's the little competition at the end. But that whole movie's about...
You got it. Nope.
Golf, Horse Feathers, it's college life. By the way, big college game. They did throw some stuff in throughout Horse Feathers.
You're right.
This one, I mean, it kind of comes as a surprise that they have a basketball team like late in the movie. And they're like, oh, this is the first time we even brought this up. And the real story of it is the guy that owns the deed to the college likes old-fashioned college, and the new teachers aren't following the old rules, and he doesn't like it, and blah, 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 blah. So this was just a way for them to raise money, is to gamble like crazy people on this wrestling match and the basketball. So if you're like, oh, hey, an Abbott and Costello movie, at least there's no drug usage in Jeff's movie. Don't worry, we got the gambling in. We got that in
I
there.
can't avoid any of them.
It's unbelievable how this keeps coming up over and over. Now, I will say what kind of piqued my interest was in the cottage cleaning scene. You got to see a 1940s laundry machine and a 1940s icebox. It was kind of interesting to see them kind of interact with these things that you're sitting there and you're like, this is a museum piece. And this was how people lived back then. That laundry machine in particular looked incredibly dangerous. And I'm thinking a lot of people died. Here's the problem I had with the film is that there were so many musical numbers. And nobody has ever claimed Bud or Lou could carry a tune. No. I think they allow Lou to kind of dance and sing in one. I don't know. The other thing is, like in Horse Feathers, Marx Brothers got to turn the college upside down. It was just bedlam all the time. Bud and Lou seem to make a very small impact on the college itself. They're almost like under the radar. So I guess I would have liked it more if Bud and Lou were just causing chaos all over the place. They really didn't. And in a lot of the scenes, you talked about how Bud was mean to Lou all the time. In a lot of scenes in this movie, Lon Chaney was mean to both of them. So Bud wasn't beating up on Lou, and the chemistry just seemed off.
Yep.
It was like the wrong guy is slapping Lou around. So I know this is considered one of the classic Abbott and Costellos, but I didn't quite see it. All right. But before we get into scores, I do have to see if this damn button's gonna work. Let's see. Whoa,
Dead
my
me fundage,
goodness.
bro.
We got it. All right. So let's talk about Pauly Shore connection.
Wow.
We connected Lou Costello. It took a little more work.
First time I think it's been this far.
We once or twice before. I gotta move over here. So Lou Costello is connected by his last ever film, The 30-Foot Bride of Candy Rock. He died shortly after this. To Gail Gordon. Do you see Gail Gordon? A lot of people know him. He was a character actor. Excuse me. He usually played a kind of hoity-toity type. He is connected to Dean Martin's Christmas show, which had about 5 million people in it. And that connects you to George Burns. George Burns was in the movie 18 Again, and that connects you to Pauly Shore.
How?
Does this help having the little graphics?
It does, but tell me was Pauly Shore in 18 Again?
Yeah, he was in the movie 18 Again. He wasn't the star. I think he was like
that was Matthew Perry,
the
right?
friend.
Or no, it was somebody like that. All right,
It wasn't. No, Matthew Perry made a different
Yeah.
body swap movie later on. I forget. It's a guy I don't think did a whole lot. All right, and of course we have horror movie connections to this. Now, do you think this is one of my easier horror movie connections or one of my more difficult ones?
It's going to be easy because they probably did a lot of those back then.
All right, let's see. And it was a Universal picture on the Universal Studios. So let's talk about Bud himself. Now, Bud and Lou are going to be almost exactly the same. They met. These are the horror movie monster movies they did. They had Abbott Costello Meet the Mummy, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Invisible Man, The Killer Boris Karloff. I kind of put that as a kind of, because he isn't actually a monster, but it's horror themed. Frankenstein, of course, which we saw earlier in this episode, and Hold That Ghost back in 1941. That was one of their earlier films.
Is it? Am I right by thinking that the Invisible Man came after this one? Is that how they introduced him for this? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And by the way, Bud Abbott.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer.
Well, of course, because we put him in the same movie.
And by the way, we also have, of course, Little Lou Costello, also a Hall of Famer.
Lewis.
What is going on with that picture? Oh, I got a lot to work.
We got a lot of weeks before we have to get back.
Yes, we do. And he had pretty well the same movies. So Lou had slightly more movies than Bud Abbott. He had 49. There are 6 total horror titles. So Lou Costello is at 12%. Now, Peggy Ryan, who was kind of the musical foil in the film, she's a total loser. I do not know what is happening with that right now. It's really making me mad.
I know.
Yeah. So let's go to the next one. We have Martha Driscoll. Now, Martha O'Driscoll, and she was the daughter of the dean or something. She was in House of Dracula, which was another one of these monster mashup movies. Okay? She, in that one, Frankenstein was played by Glenn Strange. Dracula was by Carradine, actually played him in that one. And then Wolfman, of course, was played by Lon Chaney. And that one also had the Hunchback and a Mad Doctor in it. It was one of the big mashups. Basically, if you saw House of in one of the Universal pictures, it meant that they were putting all the monsters in.
Katie bar the door.
Yep. Lon Chaney Jr.
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Hall
you.
of Famer. Even though the graphic isn't working tonight.
He's a very average-looking person. You know that?
He's
is very average-looking.
He was tall though. Tall guy. 195 movie credits. That's why we were able to connect him a lot easier to Pauly Shore. 35 horror credits.
Oof.
35. But that's only 18% of his movies, because he did a lot of stuff like this where he was just a heavy or a bad guy or whatever. He has the distinction of having played the Wolfman, Frankenstein, and Dracula.
Really?
Yes, he played all three of the things. And
That's
he
pretty
was
cool.
in a movie called Spider Baby that a lot of people like. That was late in his career. He was already a raging alcoholic, which would have made him perfect for one of your sports films.
Thank you.
There you go. And we're going to go with one more. Charles Dingle. This guy, you probably saw him on the screen and said, that guy looks like somebody I've seen before.
Looks like
That's
a
because
president.
he did 60 movies.
Oof.
He did 60 movies. 2 of them were horror credits. The Beast with 5 Fingers.
Okay.
And early anthology in 1950, he did Lights Out. So that's what we had for Horror Movie Connections.
Before you get into your rating,
Mm-hmm.
so are you Camp Abbott or Camp Costello? Do you have one that you liked better than the other? Or, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I have an
trying to get at-
unpopular opinion.
You're an Abbott, aren't you?
I think Bud Abbott's much better than Costello.
Oh, shoot. I like
I think
Costello
he's
better.
incredible. I cannot believe the way he moves through dialogue.
Yeah, all right.
If I was gonna make a movie and I need a lot of exposition just blown out the door, Bud could go through pages very quickly. Having said that, Lou is extremely good.
Yeah.
He's extremely good. So the thing that I noticed watching these films over again, I have been somebody that said, I think Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein is the best Universal horror film. It's not.
It's not.
Bud and Lou are okay. It's not as funny as I remember. I think for kids, it's a great intro to Universal monster movies. But it is great because you get to see Bela Lugosi playing Dracula again. So that's good.
So what kind of did you give me?
I'm going to say I was hoping to give you a higher score than I ended up giving you. But this is a pretty average Universal flick.
Fair enough.
I'm going to give it only whatever that number is. It's a 6.
Okay.
That's
It looks like a
supposed to be up on
9.
the screen.
That looks like a 9.
Okay, well.
That looks like a 9.
Whatever it looks like, it's a 6.
Oh,
so sorry about that, but that was
That's
the
okay.
best I could do. You know what? It was too much music in there. There were a lot of times, like there was one musical sequence. You're gonna know what I mean. You just watched this week, right?
Yep.
Okay. There's a scene where this woman sings, and I had to look like 3 times. I'm like, that voice is not coming out of this woman. It sounds like a man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, it did.
I was like, what am I watching right now? Now, there was a woman that played the violin.
Yep.
She was good. She could play the violin. But I was like, okay, can we get back to the comedy, please? You know, it was harsh. It was
That's all right.
harsh.
I'll get back some points when I get the correct.
Well, I
answer.
think you're going to do well on trivia.
No,
this
I don't
week.
think so. I think
you are. I'm thinking I'll probably
All right.
do okay.
I'll
but
go. I'm going to ask you a question
Keep
first.
in mind, I don't have to do trivia on my movie. I have to do trivia on your movie. So let's first.
Wait a second. What was I doing trivia on? I had to do it on the movie you watched. Yes.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, let me explain it to all those at home. We're going to read 3 statements. One of them is a lie that the other one has to figure out. And Jeff is going to ask me about his movie, and I'm going to ask him about his. So, Jeff, why don't you kick it off? You got your stuff in front of you.
Lou Costello showed off his basketball skills in this movie. That being said, he was once the New Jersey State free throw champ. Bud Abbott played second base for his state championship baseball team. Lou Costello was once a boxer who went by the ring name Lou King. Lou King.
Wait, which one? So the first one is Lou Costello is some sort of basketball star.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Then
Bud
Bud Abbott played second base for his
second
state
base.
championship baseball team. high school baseball team.
Okay.
And Lou Costello was once a boxer who went by the ring name Lou King.
Lou King.
Like Luking. And Luking.
Here's the thing. Back then, a boxer could look like Lou Costello. They weren't all, pumped and jacked up. So there's a possibility there. And I'm pretty sure my memory of Bud Abbott is that he was in the Merchant Marine as a young man. He didn't have money to be screwing around with sports, but
This is high
he
school.
was
It's high school. Just
right,
so you remember.
and he was athletic. So, you know what? I'm gonna believe that Lou did fight professionally. I'm gonna say that Bud Abbott did not play second base.
And you're discarding the whole first one about a New Jersey State.
I
Free
know
throw
that.
champion?
I know that's true. I know that's true.
So which one are you saying
Lou
is false?
was an extremely good basketball player.
Which one's false?
I'm saying the second one is false. Bud Abbott being a baseball player.
You're correct.
Yes!
Oh my God.
Woohoo!
You knew you were going to get that right.
I can't believe
As
it.
soon as you knew that, as soon as you said in your review about Costello and basketball, I'm like,
That, if you watch at the beginning of your movie, that's Lou up at the top of that goddamn stack of boxes. He
Yep.
had no. They should not have let a star of his caliber up on those boxes. Like, there's an OSHA violation. Okay, so let me see if I have my. Oh, I do have some trivia for you, buddy.
all right, let's go.
All right, I got to figure out which is true and which is false here. Okay, I got it. So, in Abbott Costello Meet Frankenstein, Glenn Strange played Frankenstein. Glenn Strange's photo as Frankenstein was used in newspapers all across the world when they ran the obit for Boris Karloff when he died.
Okay.
That's the first one.
Yep.
Second one is Bela Lugosi was buried in his Dracula cape when he passed away.
Yep.
The third one, I'm not going to talk about anybody dying. So, upon the success of this film, Universal immediately put out the similar Monster Mash film, House of Frankenstein.
Okay, so I understand the first and the second one. Repeat the third one again, please.
Upon the success of this film, Universal immediately put out the similar Monster Mash film, House of Frankenstein.
Well, I know the Bela Lugosi one is true. I've heard that before.
Okay.
And you know what? I'm thinking that, honestly, I know that you just talked about the House of Horrors. I know you just talked about that. And you've done this last time that you talked about it, and then I should answer that one correctly. But here's the thing. I think that the newspapers would have screwed something like that up, and they would have put a picture of someone else in as Frankenstein. So I am going to say that the third one about the monster
House of
mashup.
Frankenstein?
Yep, I'm going to say that that's false.
Jeff, you
You
know
did it
that
again.
newspapers are the authority, right? You know that. They would never print something false.
I'm going with what
All
I'm
right,
going
you're
with.
going with it?
I'm going
You're
with what I'm
sure?
going with, yes. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, folks.
You are
That's
correct.
what I'm talking about.
House of Frankenstein was already made quite a
I
bit
needed this.
before this.
Even though I'm getting swamped, I still
Ah,
needed it.
you're coming
No,
back.
It would have been better if you
coming
got
back,
0.
buddy.
I would have got
You're
3.
coming back.
I would have gained 2 points this week, but
Well, you're doing okay.
no, I'm not.
Yeah, you're coming back. You're
What-
scrappy.
What's the score?
You're scrappy.
What's the score?
Score is
my
only
God.
61 to 32. So, yeah, you got some room, and I happen to know I have some movies that are pretty tough. So we're going to see how tough Jeff is in the next few innings. Yeah, your problem were those early movies were terrible. Awful.
I don't need to relive all that.
Yeah. Anyway, it's
I don't
time
need-
now to look into the future, everybody.
Yes, and which is very hard to do to predict the future, as you found out from our open.
Correct. Because it's in the future. So coming up with Season 8, Inning 6. That's not a typo up there. Our next show is May 23rd, folks. because
Tim
we
and-
both got things to do, baby.
Here's what's going on. Tim and I are taking our Dead on the Bases on the road. Tim's going some places. I'm going some places. We're going to pass the word around so that we get more viewers and
Right.
listeners.
Right, and hopefully those shows will actually operate correctly. That would be nice.
Yep.
Anyway, we're coming back May 23rd.
A good way to remember that is 5 is 2 minus 3. Or no, 2 plus 3.
I liked your approach. That was really good.
No,
'Cause 2 minus 3 is negative
5 minus
1.
2 is 3.
What?
5 minus 2 is 3.
Yes.
Yeah. That's how you can remember when our next show is.
Who's on first? All right. So let's talk a little bit about these flickaroos. You gave me.
Moneyball. This is the story.
This is about your favorite sport and how it got good to watch.
It's about my favorite sport and how it's so frustrating to watch. But it's a good movie. It's a good movie. It's a true story. It's actually very entertaining.
It's truth adjacent, isn't it?
No.
I heard it takes quite a few liberties.
Well, yes. But
Yeah.
for the most part, the amount of games that they win and all that's all true.
No more liberties than the newspapers take on a daily basis. these days.
Right.
Well, I gave you the movie Don't Breathe, and you asked me, is this a newer movie?
It
This
looks
is a
newer.
newer movie. The lead actress, I forget her name off the top of my head, but she was in a movie, a TV show called Purgatory or Purgatory something.
Oh my God.
But she was also in Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, which was a fairly decent sized hit. She is known primarily for doing comedy on television,
Yeah.
but she's done a bunch of horror films, this being her best one. This one, I'm just going to say, you better get Tango ready. Tango, what does it say? Suburgatory?
Yeah.
It was suburbs. Yeah, I think it's suburgatory. That sounds right. And that went for 3 seasons. Zoe went for about 2.5 seasons.
This looks like this does not look like this is up. This looks like this is gonna be
Why?
wicked.
Why would you say that?
Because it's red, and it looks
Oh.
like someone's covering their face, and
That's right. Yeah.
she looks terrified.
Well, Don't Breathe. Actually, good advice in this movie. There's a lot of hiding going on in this movie.
oh my God, I'm not gonna be. Come on, Tim.
Jeff's gonna have a little bit
Come
of an
on, Tim.
issue. Now, this is where Jeff might be giving me a grade that I don't like too much. So, and I'm prepared for it. But I think it's a really good movie.
Oh.
I enjoy it, and I wanted to rewatch it. So there you go. You get Don't Breathe. That's how I usually pick mine. It's like, what movie do I want to rewatch? Oh, that's a good one.
Unlike me, as I just throw a dart at the wall, I'm like, well, let's watch this.
Well, you
movie.
haven't even watched a lot of them. I don't get
Because
that.
I think it's because I want to watch them.
It is?
I think
yeah,
so.
Yeah, okay. Well, and that's for me, it's like I want to rewatch them, so I guess similar but different how we pick our movies.
It's okay.
I'm right.
You know what?
You're
it's
wrong.
It's worked for 8 seasons.
Yeah. Can you believe we're at 8
No,
seasons?
I can't.
This is insanity.
And you would think I would get better at this. I am so this week. I'm gonna beat myself up. The thing
Yes,
that
you
sucks
are.
about this being May 23rd, 5 minus 2 equals 3, is that I'm gonna beat myself up for 3 weeks.
Yes,
on
you
this.
are. 4 weeks.
I'm already kicking myself now. Yeah, I know.
No, I think you did fine.
Ugh.
But
No more writing stuff out. Confuses.
I'm not sure that's the
It confuses my brain.
I'm not sure that's the problem. Anyway, we want to thank everybody for tuning in and putting up with us for yet
Yes,
another week.
thank you.
We really appreciate all of you that come out to the live shows. We appreciate those of you that download us later. If you get a chance, could you hit that like button on wherever you're looking at us? Could you give us a review? Tell a friend about the show. It helps us out quite a bit.
And-
Jeff's ego needs it.
And if you want us to do this show live somewhere, we'll go there and we'll do it live. So just let us know.
No, I can't get it to work in the studio, Jeff. Jeff. My God. All right.
Hey,
well,
Abbott!
Hey, it's time to close the Crypt and call the game. Thank all of you for watching.
Yes,
And
thank
remember
you.
to share and subscribe to our show and feed. You can find our show at otherworldlyculture.com. Follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Pandora, iHeart, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, and other fine places you find podcasts. Remember, everybody, if it's sports, it's a home run. If it's horror, run home! We're dead on the bases, and we'll see you next time.
Otherworldlyculture.com.
We'll see you in a few weeks.com.
And me.com. Me, 23rd.
Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep.
Because 5 minus 2 equals 3. And if you add the 2 back, you get back to 5.
And if you
That's how it works. We call that math.
or lucky numbers.
God. We're going to be connecting movies to lucky numbers.
We have to.
That and Pauly Shore. Yeah.
Like lucky numbers
The
should be like the
Pauly
bridge
Shore
to
lucky
Pauly Shore.
number connection.